But Bam Margera, I think they just put him on a ventilator.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now he's not in best health right now. He's pretty overweight, plus 20 years of I don't know. I'm imagining a lot of drugs and alcohol.
You're not imagining anything. That's pretty well known by this point in time. He's I mean that was one of the reasons he wasn't in the last movie. So
yeah, he wasn't in that, was he?
yeah, no.
I figured it was creative differences.
It was creative differences because apparently he wouldn't go to rehab or wouldn't stay in rehab. I can't remember which one exactly it was.
Probably both.
Steve-O has a podcast on YouTube, and
Really?
yeah, he had an interview with him a while back, and it was kind of interesting, and there's definitely some contention between them. So yeah. If that interests you at all, that might be you might
I
check
may have
that
to
out.
check that out because Bam he never seemed all there, but back when it was all funny, no one really cared.
Yeah. No, back in the day, I don't think anybody did because they were young too. I think probably after Ryan Dunn died,
Yeah.
I think a lot of them changed, and I think Steve-O had a big change on that too because he got really, really bad right before. I think it was right after 2 because he'd gotten sober. I think in between Jackass 2 and 3 because
Okay.
there's this stunt he does, and it might be in the extended version of 3 where he walks a beam and they're swinging fireballs at him, and they put a metal plate on the floor underneath the beams because the guy didn't want them ruining his floors.
Sure.
But with all the heat, basically turned into like a frying pan. And so when he gets hit by a flaming ball, he falls and he burns the side of his body. And like all they're able to give him is Advil because he won't take anything else because he's gotten sober. He refuses to lose it. Johnny Knoxville's kind of giving him shit about it. It's pretty funny. It's pretty good.
You can't do that show without like a regular prescription of Percocet. You need to have the good stuff on.
Yeah, I don't think he can either. I'm pretty sure Johnny Knoxville knows how to control his addiction. So
I guess so.
Yeah. So I guess we should do an introduction this episode before we get too far in. So to the I think 15 people actually watched it last time. So no 22. I'm really impressed.
We're moving up.
We're
moving up in the world.
I was going to be shocked if like more than 3 people actually watched it. I figured like you, me, and then maybe one rando might stumble across it. So to our 22 viewers out there who apparently only watched the first 4 minutes according to the metrics, I'm still trying to learn all the information.
Shame.
Yeah, I'll try to edit this inside of the first 4 minutes. But to all of you out there, we are Hydro Man Ran. I am Kevin, and with me,
Andrew.
I'm
Andrew.
That is good. It's okay. And so we have a podcast where we talk about movies and video games. And every week, one of us gets to pick one and the other gets to pick the other topic in terms of a comic, or in terms of a movie, in terms of a video game. And then the next week we swap. So this week our topics are Insomnia and Chrono Trigger. Yes, Chrono Trigger. I always get Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross mixed up for some reason.
I wonder why.
I don't know. I really don't, because I mean, one is much, much better than the other. Okay.
I think we'll disagree on which one, but I do agree with you.
Oh, okay. Oh, that'll be interesting. Okay.
I think we do. Maybe we don't. I don't know.
Okay. So our movie for today was Insomnia. So I think this is your pick. So I guess why was this your pick?
Well, I actually watched it pretty recently, and like 99% of the freaking planet, I love Christopher Nolan, but I had never seen this movie. And my wife actually recommended it to me, and I was like, yeah, let's go and watch it. So we watched it, and I was very impressed with it. It didn't feel like a Nolan film per se, but then I started to look a little back into it, and it kind of makes sense why this was his first big Hollywood film.
Yeah,
He did the Following, which was a very low budget. I think maybe 70K tops. Um, and then
yeah,
he
it was
got
a black and white kind of indie film.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think I've even. Yeah, I haven't even seen that one. I think you can probably
I
find
haven't
it on
either.
YouTube, but I never have.
It's somewhere. I've got it saved somewhere. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But it was good for what it was, is what I've read. And then Memento, which is one of my favorite films of all time. But even then, that was still kind of independent. I don't remember how much, but it was still a pretty low budget film compared to Hollywood. Uh, but that kind of got him his breakout role, and they gave him a real shot with Insomnia, which I think for his first major film, he hit it out of the park. Obviously, it's not Dark Knight, it's not Interstellar, it's not anything like that, but it shows that he's got a lot of raw talent, and it's easy to see how he went from that to everything he's done now. My favorite character, though, honestly, is Robin Williams' character, because I didn't even realize it at this point, because I think of the movie as more recent than what it was, but at this time, Robin Williams was just the silly, funny guy in every family comedy he could find. And he even said himself in an interview I was watching that no one expected him to do well in this, because when you see him at this time, when you see him, all you think of is just he's the genie, he's in Flubber, he's this and that. 1 hour photo came out, I think, 4 or 5 months later. So he
Yeah, it
had
was
no
after
creep.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was no creepiness to him up until that point, but he did just an amazing job of, even though he looks like the kind of guy that would get his would would get dropped with one shot in the bar. He looks very creepy in this film. Like I the entire time, if I were near him, I would be very, very, very upset, very uncomfortable.
No, I'll 100% agree with that. I mean, in a film of outstanding. I mean, I love the cast in this film, and I think that
Oh
everybody's
yeah,
acting is great. But yeah, Robin Williams, I think, really knocks it out of the park on this one. He because yeah, I mean, he had done dramatic stuff before, because he had done, I think there's a movie called Awakenings, if I'm not mistaken.
he did that. He did Dead Poet
Um,
Society.
yeah, and he
And there was
did.
something else,
Was this
but
before What Dreams May Come, or was this after?
I want to say it was after or before, but I might be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did
he
all
had he had put
those.
his toe into dramatic acting like that. We all knew that he was a capable actor.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and Good Will Hunting, of course.
oh yeah,
Uh,
yes.
but even all those roles, I didn't see the one that you had mentioned, but in most of those roles that weren't comedies, they were still kind of like inspiring, like uplifting characters.
Right. They weren't
Total
uh,
monster
um,
like he is in this film.
yes. I don't know if I would go so far as to say he's a total monster in this film. But yes, definitely.
Maybe not total, but he's pretty close.
Yeah, definitely the bad guy. Without, I
Yes.
mean,
But I mean,
I
well,
think I think he's someone who discovered he had a taste he didn't know that he liked,
right.
and as
He
you see
didn't
towards
go
the
to a
end of the
factory.
film, like he's ready to keep enjoying that taste some more. I think he's on the verge. You're seeing the birth of a serial killer, I think, with his character, and I think he does a
No,
really good
100%.
job of pulling that off, showing somebody who's able to manipulate people. Of course, I think he's only really able to manipulate Al Pacino's character because Al Pacino is, suffering from massive insomnia, as the title states.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Well, spoiler alert.
Spoiler, yeah, spoiler. He can't sleep. So, did you know that this was a remake?
Not when I watched it, but I did find out later on. From what I think was it Swedish or German? The
Norwegian, all the same
Norwegian.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah. We're about to lose all of our Norse viewers over that comment, I'm sure.
I don't know if we're big enough to kill any major market yet, but whatever.
We'll get canceled in a few years when they come back and find us. Yeah, they won't allow us to come over there for their YouTube expos.
Yeah, well, from what I've read about it is I saw some scenes on it, and basically in that movie there's a lot more gray of the lines, but also a lot less. There's not as much redeeming qualities in anybody. It's almost like it's just total chaos, and the whole point of the film, from their eyes, is that things happen, and sometimes this is what happens. A lot of the scenes are similar, but go in a much darker direction. Like the scene where Al Pacino is in the car with that girl, and they're driving, and she's trying to flirt with him, and he kind of just says no, and just says no, like that's not going to happen. In the Norwegian film, it's actually the reverse, and he's been pretty aggressive. The dog he shot in the alley, whereas Al Pacino just found some dead dog. The character in the first film actually just shot a live dog and just said, like, so it's a much darker, much more grittier film.
I found a version of it on YouTube, but the subtitles were all in Spanish, so I couldn't make it very far. I did notice in the beginning, though, that it doesn't seem like you have the same partner relationship in that film that you do in this one, which I really like that. I mean, like every time I watch this movie, I forget that he kills his partner like in the first quarter, in the first 30 minutes of the film. But that whole scene occurs.
The first time I
always forget about all the IA, all that stuff like that. So that was I really enjoy that part of the film.
Yeah, I did too. For like the first half of the film when I first watched it, I was just waiting for him to not be dead. Like I was thinking it was some kind of like something he imagined in his like sleepless stupor. I'm just kind of waiting for him to come back, and they never come back. And I was like, oh, he really did that. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, so as someone who has suffered from insomnia, the first night doesn't get you. It's the buildup of the nights. It's when it's 2-3 nights in a row, and the most you've gotten is 1 or 2 hours of sleep, per night. Like that's the buildup that really, by the end of that week, like you're seeing things. And I really love the scene where he's trying to drive, and just he thinks he swerved into a lane and he's about to get hit by a truck at the end, like that. I've tried to drive home after I'm working all week, and I've had insomnia all week too at the same time, and that felt like very familiar to me, where you're just jumpy over nothing. Like your brain is making up. Your brain is just freaking out because it's like, why aren't you sleeping? Like what's going on? So I really like that how they portrayed the insomnia and how it crept up on him. It wasn't like, he's a man that's lived a long life. He's probably had insomnia before, 1-2 days, okay, but towards the end of that week, he was up there. Like it started to deteriorate him. I like that.
Right. Yeah, they like Al Pacino did a great job, and of course, him being a cop that has some rough edges isn't exactly a new role for him.
But he played it very subtly, like, and that's what I like. Like he wasn't like the gregarious and wow, he wasn't that Al Pacino. He was very withdrawn and um, excuse me. Um, there's a lot of scenes where him and Hap at the beginning of the movie are giving quick glances back and forth. Um, and it's just very, very subtle, very quick. I think a lot of it has to do with the editing too. Um,
Right.
the scene where Al Pacino is talking to the kid in the in the high school, and the
Hmm.
kid is getting in his face and smoking a cigarette and trying to act all cool and bad, and Al Pacino just other I think Al Pacino's go-to would be big and bolsterous and just like yell at the kid, but there he has a little smirk and he very calmly like tells the kid like what he's trying to do isn't working on him, like he's not buying it. I really really love those like subtle performances that he pulls out.
Yeah, it was more of like the longtime veteran versus more of a maybe not a rookie, but like the younger cop that he's played in the past.
Right. Yeah.
I also like too how the entire point of the movie wasn't even to focus on them trying to catch Robin Williams, because if you just watch the trailer, you already know that Robin Williams is the bad guy.
Right.
It's kind of like what's going on back home with internal affairs. Um, is what he's seeing real, not real? Um, was him killing his partner? Was it an accident? Was it on purpose? And which I think really, even at the end, you really don't know. I thought they just had kind of several questions going at once that really just made the entire film much more watchable.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it was a mistake. I think he doesn't seem like that kind of a bad cop.
I
And
think
even
so too.
Hillary Swank or Shank, I always mispronounce her last name. Even at the end of the film, she kind of drives that point home. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you've done some crooked things, but you're not a bad guy. Like, you're not a killer. Like, you've made some mistakes, and yeah, that's that's kind of how I saw him the entire time. And maybe it's
Right.
because I think this is like my fourth viewing when I watched it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think Hillary kind of like the point of her character is to kind of be the viewer, because I think the typical viewer, even though they realize Al's character isn't really the best guy, they're still kind of rooting for him. They want him to win in the end. They want him to be okay.
right,
And I think even though she clearly lost a lot of, like, when the film starts out, she's just this bubbly, giddy cop who's just so excited to see him. By the end, she's kind of lost that, but she still wants to cheer for him. She still wants to like save his name. And I mean, that's kind of how uh, I see it, at least. That she's just kind of the the audience put like into a character.
right. I also see her as one of the few characters really given a choice.
Mm. Yeah,
Whereas, and it's a choice that we don't really see, I don't think, where she's given the final choice of, is she going to hide evidence and maybe work her way on a path of becoming like Al Pacino and
right.
and Hap, or is she going to be a good and upstanding cop who tells the truth no matter who it hurts? Is she going to stand for on the side of justice, regardless? So because I can't, even though I watched it this morning, I can't remember what she does with that damn bullet at the end, or that casing. Um, but
I feel like she throws it,
I feel
but
like
I
she
might be
does
wrong.
too. But I still like the idea that she actually has a choice.
Yeah,
And I think I want the movie to end kind of like Inception, where we don't exactly know. We can make an argument over what her choice is.
I like
Um,
that too. I like
but
that too. That absolutely would be the best way to end it.
yeah,
Um, well, and because it would be tough for her to just stick the road and be this good cop who never breaks a rule, because the woman who owns, or at least the one who uh, runs the motel, she told Al early on, the only people in this town are either people who were born here or people who got nowhere else to go. And when you're dealing with a city full of people like that, you, sometimes, at least I think the movie wants to tell you that sometimes you can't just go by the rules.
Right, but there's a line of dialogue um, where the chief of that police department only lets her deal with misdemeanors, and he won't let her deal with anything else. Like this
Right.
is the biggest case she's been on. So I think he knows that she's by the book, and so he doesn't want to give her any big cases because he wants to
Yeah.
keep everything kind of copacetic and everything kind of you know give certain people kind of a leeway.
Mhm.
It's yeah, we'll let certain things ride. So
Mhm. I guess for him or for her rather, is it gonna help her career more to save Al Pacino's his image or to kind of destroy it, but also whether or not she cares enough about him to go against whatever it is that she believes in.
right,
Yeah,
but you were
yeah
just
man, that
talking
was
about Maura. I can't say her last name. Tyranny. She was the lady that ran the hotel.
yeah.
Um, she was Robert California's wife in The Office. She was also on news radio. She's been in a lot of stuff.
Oh,
Um,
she was Robert California. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. But I really love
She
that
was wonderful in
scene
that.
at the end where she comes into his hotel room and
Mhm.
she's like, we've got noise complaints. Other patrons can't sleep because of the noise you're creating. And he's like, it's so bright in here, I can't. And she's like, no, it's not that bright. And then she begins to take down the barrier that he's built and literally and figuratively let light shine into the hotel room while he
Right.
kind of unloads his consciousness and tells us what the scene where somebody's trying to wipe blood off their cufflink, what or off their cuff, not their cufflink, but their cuff, what that whole scene means,
Mhm.
that we saw at the very beginning and throughout. I really like that scene. I really like her as an
Mhm.
actress. I think she's great.
She is really good, and
Um, I
it
love.
goes further too.
Hmm?
I'll say, I mean, it goes further to kind of unravel everything you see about Al's character, because up until then, it's kind of going in the direction where you see more and more. Okay, Al probably is the bad guy, and it turns out he did do what they're saying he did, but he does it to someone who is a truly evil man.
Right.
Who gets off purely on a technicality. And I mean, it's kind of hard to blame him for that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's dirty, but the guy you're dealing with is pure evil.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the real world, I think there's an argument to be said about how I don't, I like cops to actually or detectives to actually do their job and find the evidence.
Right.
I prefer that. But yes, in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fictional detective world, yes, yeah, where they're actually right. Yeah, that's a nice thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I guess at the same time, I don't want to set some kind of precedent where, like,
I don't think
hey,
we're
as
setting
long
any
as
precedents. Don't worry about that. I think we're okay. I think
as
we have a
long as
small
you
enough
as long as you
audience. I
think they're
think it's
guilty.
fine. Yeah.
Like, well, he seemed pretty guilty. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
I want to talk about a few of the other actors who I liked. Catherine Isabel is that's the friend who he had the scene with that you talked about earlier, where she was kind of flirting with him
Yeah. Hmm.
in the car. So she's from one of my favorite television shows ever, Hannibal. She's
Yeah. Who is
Mason
she in that?
Verger's sister in that, but she's also in
Okay.
a lot of horror movies that I like. She's in a really good one called Ginger Snaps, American Mary, and then she was also in the Jason versus Freddy movie.
I never saw that. Ginger Snaps, is that like a Christmas themed horror movie?
No, it's a well, maybe it's a werewolf
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering because I was thinking like gingerbread houses or something. I wasn't sure what the.
No, and then the lady that played the coroner is a woman named Paula Shaw, and she played
Mhm.
Pamela Voorhees in Jason versus Freddy. So a little Jason versus Freddy connection there.
I still have
And
not
then
seen that.
Paul Dooley, he is the police chief,
Mhm.
and this man is still with us. He's 94 years old,
Ooh,
and he has two projects in pre-production.
wow. What has he
So
been in lately?
nothing that you would ever heard of, like Hallmark Channel type stuff and television shows and stuff like that. I mean, like it's one-off type stuff, but yeah,
Right. I mean,
he's
I
still
spent 8
working.
hours a day in like in a nursing home, so I've seen my fair share of Hallmark.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's I don't know. So for me, he will always be Claude Elsinore in the movie Strange Brew. Um,
Okay, nice.
he's the uncle who sweeps in after the owner dies and he marries his brother's wife. It's great. Oh, it's such a
Okay,
good movie. We might have to add that to our
yeah,
list at some point in time if you've never
I
seen
think so.
Strange Brew.
I saw it a while back. I saw it a
Especially
while
since
back.
I drink beer all the time. It only makes sense that we watch something called Strange Brew.
It's very fitting.
Yeah. So they were great, and then Wally Pfister is the cinematographer,
Okay,
and
what has he done?
he ended up doing 6 movies with Christopher Nolan, and
Wow,
won an Oscar for his work on Inception.
rightly so.
So,
It
and
was
I
some
think
beautiful
this movie
cinematography.
looks gorgeous. I mean,
It
this,
was. It's a beautiful. I think it
yeah,
was shot actually out in. I want to say. I want to say Britain is where they actually shot it at.
really,
Yeah,
even with that
because
glacier scene, they have
I mean,
glaciers in
yeah,
Britain.
apparently.
Okay, all right.
I want to say it was Britain. It was somewhere in Europe. I think it was Britain. Um, but yeah, no, like all the
You mean
cinematography.
like maybe like British Columbia?
No, it was well, maybe, but I'm pretty sure it was in Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, all like the color palettes, the cinematography, everything visually about that movie is beautiful.
Yes.
I
Yeah. I wherever there's that scene towards the end when they're going to the um they're going to his summer house,
mhm.
and it's just that giant river and you see the giant glacier behind it.
Yeah,
I want to go wherever that was. That was
I know.
beautiful. That was so beautiful.
My wife and I went on a cruise back in September through Alaska, and we saw some snowy mountains. We saw one piece of ice that maybe could be called a glacier if you're being picky enough.
Okay.
But unfortunately, it was very disappointing. Yeah,
Uh,
I would love to see real, actual glaciers. That would be amazing.
yeah. Yeah, I would love to go up to I mean an Alaskan cruise is probably the only cruise I'm interested in unless it was maybe like the Rhine River. Like I'm not interested in tropical cruise at all, but
Are you or April? Do y'all get like seasick, motion sick very easy?
I do. I can.
I would,
I don't know if I really do or not, or if she's just a bad driver. But yeah, I do.
well, out in those waters, I would very highly recommend you bring like Zofran, maybe one of those scopolamine patches,
Okay.
because it's pretty choppy. I was feeling it, and so was she. My wife was feeling it rough. So I would
Yeah, I think
highly
that's why
recommend
I'd
that.
prefer to just fly up there and rent a car and just drive
Oh
around
yeah,
Alaska. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that'd be more fun.
yeah. We both said that we'll probably never do another cruise out there, but we do want to go back and see Alaska.
Right.
Um, the plan's the way to go.
All right.
All right. So
Drinking Mutant X IPA by Oscar Blues. Excellent.
Mutant X. That sounds
Mutant
awesome.
X. Yeah.
That sounds
I
so
like it
cool.
because I like to pretend that it's actually a Marvel Comics beer. But yeah.
I was about to ask if there's like any like
Mutant
reference
X was
logo.
technically Havoc in the Marvel Comics. There's this alternate timeline or this alternate universe where he gets sucked into back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Kind of a kind of an okay storyline. But yeah, that was called Mutant X. That was the actual comic.
Have they brought Havoc at all to any of the movies in like any capacity?
Yeah, he was in First Class. He was who was that kid? Blonde haired kid. I can't think of the actor's name at all. I think he plays in a lot of those like Hunger Game type movies. I think he's been in some of those, like Maze Runner or something. I don't know.
Gotcha.
But he was in multiple ones.
Okay.
I mean, like that character shows up. He's only really actually relevant in that first one. They don't
Gotcha.
really do his power 100% right. It's okay.
I mean, it can't be any worse than.
And the fact that that movie's in the 60s and he's a teenager and his brother is a teenager in the 80s,
Right.
that doesn't really, like the whole timeline in those movies is, yeah.
Well, when it comes to doing powers wrong, I still think of Deadpool. Not the new movies, but when they first showed him in X-Men. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It was the one where Wolverine. It was like a
It's
prequel,
Wolverine
I think.
Origins.
Yeah, that's it. Origins. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and they bring out Deadpool with no mouth, and that was just the most.
Well, not only
The
no
biggest of
mouth,
middle
he
fingers.
had katana arms. He had the katana
Katana
blades that
arms.
slid out of his arms. He had Cyclops' eye beams.
He could like teleport, I think.
Yeah, which that. So in the Cable and Deadpool series, when they were hanging out, he was able to teleport, but not Bamf like Nightcrawler. Not
Right.
like he could. He had like technology that allowed him to teleport, and that was actually, I think that series is ongoing at that time. So I think somebody read like one or two issues of that comic and didn't understand what was going on and thought that
Yeah.
Deadpool had yeah. No,
Uh,
I think on my old laptop I still have the bootleg version of that movie that came out before the movie was released that had no visual effects. It's all the pre-vis stuff. I love it, man. It's such a bad movie, and with like the crappy like block special effects, janky. It's so much fun. It's so
that
good.
sounds amazing. If we ever can, we need to do some kind of thing where we can just do like a so bad that it's good kind of thing where we
Like a watch along.
watch it live. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we could make that work. We could do something. I know Discord has that option, so we could definitely do it through Discord. And
Okay.
maybe if I figure out how to use Twitch, I still don't know how to use that. Maybe we could do that.
I've never used it. So I don't know.
Oh, no.
Twitch would work though. That would. I mean, I think they kind of market Twitch as like gaming only, but I think it works for pretty much anything.
Yeah, no, it's not gaming only. No, there's a lot of stuff on there other than gaming. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
because
I
like
mean, like
YouTube
people
and
that actually
Facebook
watch.
are trying to get in on the streamers. Like they're trying to take away from that because it's it's a lot of girls like trying to redirect traffic to their OnlyFans and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of stuff on. Like I follow one guy on Twitch and he just does like political commentary in the morning. Like that's all he does. He just talks about the news of the day, and yeah, that's it. So yeah, you can
Well,
find
then,
anything on there.
yeah. Then again, the only people I've watched who talk about Twitch are like other gamers, so I guess it would kind of make sense that they would all talk about it in that context.
Yeah, I mean it's if you're just on there and you don't know who you're looking for, you're probably only going to find gaming stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been on there. I may need to make an account just to give her a shot.
Yeah. Do you have Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you need to get on there because they have Prime Gaming, So they give away free PC games every month on
Oh,
there.
word. Okay.
So you can just build a PC library. And then they also have, there's a lot of games that are like scummy in their practices in terms of in terms of free to play games. We'll just say that they give a lot of free stuff away. So if there's like a free to play game on there you like, that's kind of has scummy, bordering on gambling
Gotcha game?
transactions.
Is that what you mean?
No. It's like you know how you buy like a loot box, and then the loot box may have something really good in it, or it may have garbage in it. And
Yeah.
yeah, well, like Amazon Prime
In
has like
currency
they
too.
give away stuff for those types of games. So if you're into them, you can get
I gotcha.
like
I gotcha.
they give away stuff for like Destiny and Grand Theft Auto Online and Red Dead Redemption Online. I think I get
I didn't
stuff for
know Grand Theft
like
Auto.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They give away stuff for that, like add-ons, like just free
Gotcha.
add-ons that normally would cost you money.
Gotcha.
Marvel's Avengers, they give away free stuff for that. Yeah, just stuff like that. So,
Let's shut that
but
down.
it's really the PC games. So they gave away
Yeah.
Quake this month. So if you log on, you
Oh,
can
for real?
you can get Quake. Yeah,
Oh man, I need to get back on that.
yeah, Quake's great. Yeah, so,
I played Quake
I mean, if you
years.
already have Amazon Prime, there you go. You got a PC
Yeah,
version of Quake for free. There you go.
as well. There you go. It is finally worth
Yes.
it.
Okay. So today we are talking about, in terms of video games, the 1995 SNES classic, the probably, I don't want to ruffle too many feathers, so one of at least the top 5 games I think on that system, Chrono Trigger.
Strictly on SNES, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Top
Yeah.
five might be generous. I mean,
No, not for
I'd
me.
be willing to argue that it's the top game.
No, Super Metroid is the
Super
best game.
Metroid.
Oh yeah.
Super Metroid is very good.
And then I mean, Link to the Past, Super Mario World. I still would argue. I think Super Nintendo is really one of the best systems, in terms of just the games that it has. It really has some strong contenders. The Super
It is
Star Wars
aged
series, the Super Castlevania,
Star Fox,
Star Fox,
mhm.
uh,
Final Fantasy
F
3, 4,
Zero,
6.
the Contra version on there. Yeah, there's all the Mario stuff on there is great.
Yeah.
Um,
Super Nintendo aged really, really well.
I think it did. I think it's one of the best aged ones. And I mean, I think there's a legitimate argument to be had that maybe Sega is a little bit better. But I didn't have a Sega growing up, so I love Super Nintendo. Screw you. I don't know.
I had a Sega, and then I would play Super Nintendo whenever I came over to your house.
Yeah.
I got all in Super Nintendo. I think Super Nintendo is better. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just too much. There's just too much good on there.
Yeah. No, I still think F Zero is one of the best racing games. And I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's a system that got me into RPGs.
Mhm.
And it was there's a Final Fantasy game that was on there, and it's not one of the numbered series. I can't remember what it's called, and it's like looked down on as one of like the worst entries in Final Fantasy. But it was the first one I played, and it's very it's super linear. There is no like, you don't explore the world. You go in a straight line and you fight and you level up. But it was my first introduction to RPGs. So for me, I absolutely love that game, and I hold it in a lot of esteem because of it got me into games like Chrono Trigger and excuse me, and really got me into games that I found on PlayStation 1 more than games I found on Super Nintendo, really. But yeah.
Right. I I would say I actually got into RPGs through. Oh, were you talking about Mystic Quest?
That's it. Yes, yes, Mystic
Yes.
Quest. It is not a
Yeah.
well-regarded game at all, but it was a gateway for me. Like it's great as a gateway RPG for a little kid who doesn't know what RPGs are. I think I was exactly who their audience was. So at
If
the
you're
time,
yeah, if you were young and you did not know what to do in RPG, that was definitely the way to start.
yeah. And I think I was like, I got it for like $15 at Best Buy or something like that. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah, for me, RPG started on PlayStation, but they still started with Chrono Trigger. I think for Christmas, I got the it was a two disc collection. It had Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy IV.
was that the Chronicles? Yeah,
Now I think it
Chronicles.
was it Chronicles? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because they put
Um,
out two. Because
one had
one
five and
had
six.
4 and 5, and then the other one had
No,
no.
no,
One had 5 and 6, and the other one had
yeah,
Chrono Trigger and 4. Yeah.
right. Yeah, and I remember getting it, and at first I played four because I was still I kind of knew a Final Fantasy from I think I played the first one on a NES. So I started playing it because I knew what it was, and it was fun. But
Wouldn't that have been 4? Or no, that would have been 5, right? They're numbered weird on the Nintendos. I
well,
can't remember
four,
like the way they were ported over to America.
yeah,
Uh,
I think four was called two on the Super Nintendo,
okay.
but over in
So you
America, and
played.
then
So 3 was probably 1 on the Nintendo. Okay, that's probably
no,
what
I
you played.
think on Nintendo it was still one, like one was
Okay.
just one. And then three, I don't think we ever got the actual three. I think,
Those were ported later.
yeah, something like that. I have to look it up, but I want to say what we call six, they call three, maybe. Um,
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's weird because we get I don't know.
We'll leave that for the Final Fantasy 6 episode. How about that? Yeah.
There you go,
Try
there
to
you go.
figure out that one. Yeah.
But yes, I was playing four, and it was fun enough, but it didn't really keep my attention for too long. And then I remember popping in Chrono Trigger, and that was it. Like it was from there. And I didn't even realize until years later, but I've been a Dragon Ball fan since I was watching TV. I knew I liked the character design, but I didn't realize that the same artist for Dragon Ball Z was also the artist for Chrono Trigger. But it's so obvious to see when you actually look at it.
Yeah, two of my favorite. He did the art design for two of my favorite RPGs. So for Chrono Trigger and Blue Dragon.
I have not played Blue
And
Dragon.
same game designer because it was so that was I typed the names out. I'm gonna butcher them. Akira Toriyama is
Yeah,
the
you're right.
guy that did the Dragon Ball. He did the art for Dragon Quest also, and then Hirononu Sakaguchi.
Close enough.
He actually created the Final Fantasy series, but he was kind of the head director. It sounds like over this game, and he
Yeah,
did Blue Dragon. So like Blue Dragon's a very straightforward like menu based RPG. Like it was
right,
on like the 360 and it was still like 4 discs. You know, it was very traditional RPG.
right.
And then there was to not leave anybody out, Yuji Horii. I don't know how to say their name. Sorry,
No,
sorry. You can please correct us. But he was actually the creator of the Dragon Quest series, which is not one I'm familiar with, but I know it's huge. I might have to get into that. We might have to do that in a future episode somewhere.
I have played. I played the first one, and that's like it's like a basic like NES style, just walking on the map, going to the cave kind of RPG. It's
Okay,
very basic. Um,
but they're up to like, I mean, they have as many entries as like Final Fantasy in their series though, right? By now, right?
they're
I mean, they have a
they're
ton.
pretty close. They're
Yeah.
pretty close if they don't. Yeah,
I
there's
don't
a
know.
ton
Final
of them.
Fantasy has all those like Type 2 HD and all that garbage.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about those, but yeah.
I think there's like a Dragon Quest Tactics. I think there's like a World Builder one. Like they've got several. They've got like they're at least past 10. I,
Was
I
that
know.
like the Final Fantasy Tactics?
I think it's similar. Um,
Okay.
Probably not
That
as
was a fun
well.
game. That was good.
Oh, I loved it. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure that one's on our list. If it's not, it needs to be. But
we'll add it.
yeah. But yeah, I have beat.
Uh oh, you
I
froze
think
up. Uh oh.
so did you.
Oh.
Let's.
Huh. Oh, there you go. Okay.
There we are. There we
I
are.
have no idea what that's going to look like in editing. That'll be fun.
It,
Okay.
it'll make for some great content.
It'll be whatever.
That's right. But no, I've actually beaten Chrono Trigger on every platform it's been out on except for Super Nintendo. I've got it on my DS. I've got it on the PlayStation. I think I've got it on my phone still. Let me check.
So
It
I
actually
have it on
plays
my
really
phone,
well.
but it's not the
Yeah, I got
legal version on my phone.
it.
And I had it. So recently I sold my PlayStation 3 to get a Wii because I wanted to hack it and basically make a an emulator that I could play retro games on.
Mhm.
And I had it on that, and I really kind of because let's just say hacking my Wii hasn't gone entirely to plan. It doesn't work 100% the way I want it to. Um, so so I kind of regret actually getting rid of that because I had like a couple of the Persona games on there, all like digital, and none of
Right.
that is backwards compatible, so I can't get it on my PS4, which I really really hate. So I'm gonna have to break down and get a PS3 at some point in time so I can download all these games again. Uh,
Oh yeah.
just
Yeah.
let me know before they close the store so I can still download the games. But
I think it's still open. I'll have to check. Like
I think it is because a lot of people freaked out because they aren't making anything backwards compatible. They
I know.
announced
I
a
don't
few
know
years
why.
ago that they were going to close it, and people freaked out because people like me were like, oh, you offered everything digitally, this should stay
Right.
open for life. You aren't making anything backwards compatible. This is the only machine I can play this stuff on that I've spent money on.
Well, not
So
only that, like, why not just have one more store open so you can make more money?
right.
It can't be costing you that much to keep it open.
I don't know, servers. I don't know. I'm
Maybe.
sure when every penny counts, I'm sure someone saw it as a win somewhere along the way.
I
Some
will.
money grubbing Japanese guy.
I
Yeah.
will download Final Fantasy 8 or whatever if need be. Whatever it takes to keep it open, I'll do it.
Okay.
Let's
Right.
go.
Oh, I also have 10 and Final Fantasy 10 and 10 too, so I do need it back for those also.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean the gameplay is very simple, but the artwork is just so beautiful and very impressive for what is it, 16 bits?
Yeah. So all the versions you played, it sounds like, have the cutscenes. So the
Yes.
original version doesn't have the cutscenes, the pretty anime cutscenes that they added for the Chronicles version.
Hmm.
Um, and the first version I played was in college. I discovered somebody showed me about ROMs and emulators for the first time, and so I pretty much collected my entire Super Nintendo collection. Well, actually, it was more of my brother's. I think he spent more money on the collection than I did. But so I collected David's Super Nintendo collection on my computer, and this is one that I had heard like, hey, this is if you like RPGs, like this is one of the best games. So I downloaded this one and Super Mario RPG, and there are many reasons why I failed out of Clemson my freshman year. But two reasons are Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG. I put a lot of time and missed a lot of class playing those games. Um, so yeah, and I immediately fell in love with this game, and I was like, how did I never discover it? And then when I realized, you know, reading on message boards like, oh, you can go back and you can beat it in almost any time, and it has different endings. You didn't need to revive Chrono. You could go back and beat it without reviving Chrono, and that gives you a different ending. Like, there's all this like stuff you could do, and I was like, holy crap! Like,
There's like
I didn't know
13.
games like this existed on the Super Nintendo. It was great.
I know it's such a wonderful idea. Like at this point, every RPG needs to have like uh, new game plus. That needs to be just a automatic thing with them all of them.
So
Um,
the original one doesn't. So that is something I
really,
think that came across on the DS. Actually, I don't even think it was on
I had
Chronicles.
it on PlayStation.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, so from what I was reading today, there's a version on the there's a version on the DS, and it has, if you do New Game Plus, I think you can do this mission that ties into Chrono Cross or something like that. Where
Yes. So when you when you first get to Lavos, I think when you're on the Black Omen, um, or maybe just after you uh, fight Queen Zeal, these like little portals will open up in three different timelines, and when you go in, they're basically you've got to get the epoch, and it's got to be able to fly for you to get to them. So you go in them, and it's like this kind of dark, cloudy room. And at the end of each one is a portal, and the portal takes you to one random area that you would have seen at some point throughout the game. But it's got the same villains. And then when you get through that one stage, it'll take you to the next one, and it'll be like one from like the factory in the future. One will be like in the castle in the Middle Ages. It'll be just random. And when you get through all of them and get to the end, you've got to fight. There's a dark version of Chrono. There's a dark version of Molly. There's a dark version of Luca. Um, and when you beat all three of them in each portal, you can fight the. I want to say it's like the Time Killer, the final boss for
Dream,
Chrono Cross,
Dream,
the Dream Eater. That's it.
Dream, yeah,
You
because it's
you
the
fight him.
time eater in Chrono Cross.
Right.
It's time, or time something like that. That's who
Yeah.
you have to fight in that game.
Yeah. So you actually can fight him in Chrono Trigger. Not the same situation as much. I think Shala is that her name? I think she's in it too. Um, she basically tells you to go away or something to that effect. I can't remember how it goes. Um, but yeah, I mean you get like more free items and stuff. It's a really cool addition.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember though I can't remember who it was, but like one of my friends had told me about that. Like, yeah, if you can actually beat the game when it's just you and Marley. And I remember thinking like I can't just like level up out there like fighting like to experience a battle. I can't do that all day.
Yeah, there's yeah, that was another thing I discovered later on, was at any point in the game, or not at any, but at almost any point in the game, you can go and take on the big bad guy.
Yeah, there's only a handful of places where you can't do it.
Yeah.
Like the moment the game starts, as soon as you get to where the two time machines, you just go to you go to the one that's free and you're gone. Yeah, it's a great game to play through like a second time, a third time. It's got a lot of replay value. Um,
Yeah, it definitely does. I think there's some criticism that the story is kind of weak and it's quick to beat, but I think there's it's one of the good games where I think there's a lot of side quests that add to the story, add to the
mhm.
characters, and there's a lot of legitimate replayability to the game. It's not
There is.
just, and I mean, even just playing the game straight through, I mean, that was a good 20 hours, I think, for me, maybe more. I mean,
Well,
that's not
nowadays the average RPG is like 80 to like 80 hours minimum.
right. So maybe for some little kid that's never played a Super Nintendo cartridge and he doesn't understand,
The
the memory
limitations.
constraints, and he doesn't understand, okay, yeah. I mean, I don't
We
know.
couldn't.
I think it's kind of exactly what I want, though. I mean, like I know playing. was it Final Fantasy 15? Like there was a point where I realized like this is too big of a game. Like I'm not going to be able to invest the time in this game
Mhm.
and make it work. And I'm like that's like I'm I'm an adult man and I have a job. I can't invest. I have a wife. I can't invest 120 hours in a game to beat it and beat all of its side quests and everything like that. I just can't do that anymore. Um,
So if all 22 viewers want us to do that, you need to make it happen. We've got bills to pay, and
yeah,
we need to
well,
make
we will start a Patreon. First, we're going to buy Andrew a microphone, but
yeah.
next we will quit our jobs, and we will do nothing but watch whatever movies you want us to watch and play whatever video games we want to play. I think that's a fair trade. We will do
That's a
that.
very fair trade. That's a
Yeah.
very fair trade. I will take that bullet. Yeah, I mean the story is it's somewhat simple, but it's just very enjoyable. I think like all the characters have got gigantic personality. I think it's a like even for as simple as it is, I think it's wonderfully enjoyable. I think my biggest criticisms would be I think none of the main characters really seem to have any kind of like major character development. Um, I would say the biggest one is either Marley once she kind of figures out everything that's going on with her dad and her mom behind the scenes, or Frog if you beat the main side quests after you bring back Chrono, you can go. I think you have to like fix the castle in the past, and somehow you can go find Cyrus's ghost, and that kind of is a character development, but it's really more of just him kind of having like peace of mind. And then of course, Magus is just like straight negative character arc. There's really nothing there with him. I think I think Robo probably has the biggest growth out of any of the characters.
Yeah, that I was about to say that because I mean he has that whole side quest. Isn't there like a female robot or something like that? You have to.
There's a female robot, and you've got to like
Yeah,
destroy the factory that's like processing humans. Um, which I'm sure there's some kind of parallel there on like capitalism or whatever, but that's for another day. Um,
yeah, I didn't. Yeah, again, I didn't have time to play through this whole game again, so I don't remember every little bit. So
I
I,
actually
I
played
don't
it.
I don't I don't remember playing through it and feeling like there was like lack of character development though, and especially I mean like
Well, none of them had
I,
major flaws that needed to be fixed. I think that's part of it. Like Marley could be a little like she was a little spontaneous. She had too much spontaneity, but she wasn't like a bad person. And the main character, obviously you can't really do anything with him. Um, Robo just kind of learned as he went along. Frog was already a good person. Luca was a good person. Ayla was dumb, but she was a good person. There was no like major flaws that needed to be fixed. So I guess that's kind of part of the reason why there wasn't too much growth, at least in my eyes.
I I don't think that's necessarily negative though. You don't necessarily
May not be.
need character growth on that level, I think, to make something entertaining and good. I can see how that makes it maybe, oh, maybe it's not the most perfect game in the world, but I
Right.
mean, like, I never really noticed. I never really cared.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the world that it was
Mhm.
creating. I enjoyed the fact that it put me in Chrono and it kind of by making him the silent character, I was able to put into him what I wanted put into him in terms of like the character. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
didn't
not
have I
saying
didn't have really I mean I guess I can see what you're saying, but I never really had an issue with that. I don't know.
right. I'm not saying it's like a major flaw, and I didn't notice it until fairly recently when I was reading a review, or maybe I was watching it, and it was brought up, and I just kind of thought about it, and it made sense to me. But no, like it doesn't make me love the game less. Like it's not a like it's really almost me like looking for something negative to say. Um,
Right.
the only other thing is, and it's really just like a total personal thing, is I'm not the biggest fan of silent main characters, which is weird because two of my favorite games are Chrono Trigger and Suikoden, which we're doing next time. Both of them have silent main characters, and really the only reason for that is like I just really enjoy when the main character has like a really like difficult like internal struggle like you might see in Final Fantasy 9 when the main character finds out that he's not from Earth.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but that's just kind of a personal preference for me. Like I can see how enjoying putting yourself in the main character can be really enjoyable. Um,
No, and that's interesting the way you just did that comparison because you just compared my two favorite RPGs. So that
yeah,
was a good job. I mean, that was exactly a good job because I love Nine, and part of it is because of the main character's arc, but I love Chrono Trigger, and part of it is because it's just a straightforward story. It's just a straightforward
it
fantasy
is.
story.
I
Um,
think really anyone could just pick it up and have a wonderful time. Like you don't need to be a major gamer. You don't need to love RPGs. You don't need to
I'm
love.
gonna argue against that because I think the as much as I love the the battle system in it, I completely understand why some gamers hate um, the menu based.
I
So
get that.
I don't
Yeah.
think that this is going to be if you don't like JRPGs. This
Yes.
I don't know that this is going to be the introduction that opens your eyes and makes everything. I think actually maybe even Super Mario Brothers RPG or it's just Super Mario RPG. I think is
Mhm.
more because there's at least like real time action that you can perform in that. Like there's
Yeah.
actions you can take it. There's timing issues you can do in the menu based system to make actions more advanced than that one.
Mhm.
Um,
I can see that. Yeah. People who aren't fans of who are just very much against RPGs are not going to like Chrono Trigger.
no, no,
Maybe they
there's
can
no
go online and watch like a Let's Play or something of it.
sure
Yeah.
they
You
should.
know, since they've been doing so many lately, they've been kind of like redoing so many RPGs. A lot of people are just waiting for Chrono Trigger to come back.
I would love it. I think that would be great. I would
Yeah,
love a HD remaster of it.
trophies for like every ending you get. If you can get Magus on your team, you get a trophy. If you kill him, you get a trophy.
Yeah, if you can beat what's his name Lavos without retrieving or without bringing Chrono back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's a matter of time. I mean, like I never thought Suikoden 1 and 2 we're gonna get that kind of treatment. So if they can get it, Chrono Trigger is just a matter of time, I think.
so before we end, let's discuss two things.
Okay.
So we have I was going to try to pull up our here it is. I was going to try to pull up our schedule.
Mhm.
So next episode, the movie is Censor,
Yes.
and the game is Coden, as you were just saying. Am I saying that correctly? I
Suikoden,
am
yeah.
not Japanese, so I do not know. I'm only Chinese. Um,
I got it.
okay, so that is going to be our next episode. But more importantly, uh, in terms of Insomnia, we're going all the way back.
Mhm.
Is that a movie that you think our Papa would have liked?
I'm gonna say no.
Really?
I think he would. I think he would see Al Pacino's character, and I think he would be just a little turned off by it.
Hmm.
I think you would think that his moral compass is a little off. I don't. I don't think he would jive with them too much.
So I'm going to disagree with you. I think you would have loved this
Okay.
movie.
Do you?
Um,
Okay.
I, Papa loved a really good detective story, and
Mhm.
whereas you know, the detective story isn't really like tricky. It's not really a whodunit. It
Right.
is still a detective story, and it's a very, visually it's the opposite of a film noir, but it is very much a noir film in terms of the complicated characters and their interplay with each other and the chain of events and how everything plays out.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that would be right up his alley. I think he would have really dug this film. Um, Given
You
some of
might
the
be right.
writing I read of his, I think he really would have dug it. Um,
I need to read some more of his writing. But you might be right. You might be right on that one.
we won't know.
No,
Mima would not like it.
no. He would. I am confident he would say he doesn't like it if Mima liked it. I am.
No, I
I am.
think this one he'd be okay being like, no, that was a good movie. Yeah,
You think so? Oh,
yeah.
he's braver than I. He's a braver man than me. Yeah, good for him. Oh man.
Uh, But I think that's it for this episode of Hydro Man Ran. So, want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to us talk for however long this turns out to be in the edit. I am Kevin,
I'm Andrew.
and we will see you next time.
Have a good one.